You're a fool.
Welcome, everybody, to the Racing Foolz podcast, powered by Low Budget TV. I'm your host, Charlie Youngtai. Joining me is Tommy Mason.
Hello.
Well, Tommy, season's over. What a crazy year. Got even crazier after that, but before we get to that news, let's put a period on Homestead. 3 champions, 3 different makes. What do you think? I mean, we got a couple of champions that one champion that didn't win a race. Another repeat champion and a guy that won that a lot of people don't like.
So my take of the weekend was, I think I was the one who texted you this, where I was like, we might see a championship battle throughout the entire weekend, all weekend, where the champions who win are what I quote, whatever champions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's why I say that is because the trucks, you had fan favorites like Stuart Friesen, Ross Chastain, that were like everybody wanted to see those two guys get the title because they have different storylines. Then you get to the Xfinity series where, you know, I feel like Cole Custer was like the odds-on, lights-out favorite, and you know people wanted to see Christopher Bell, you know, especially dirt people, right? And we got a back-to-back champion. Then we go to the Cup Series. And I feel like going into that, you wanted to see, not you, but I think for the crowd, and I'm speaking for them, I get it, insert foot and mouth if I need it, but that's okay. People wanted to see Truex or Hamlin. I don't think they cared to see Harvick, and I don't think they cared to see Kyle Busch win because everybody. So when I said that, that was my example as to why. Now, me personally, I was going at the point of the season, which was the Final Four for the trucks, being that I visibly watched Matt Crafton win his 2000 NASCAR Southwest Tour title. I was cheering for Matt. You know, Todd Gilliland wasn't in, and at that point, I didn't care who won the title.
Yeah, it's kind of.
And then in the Final Four, it was like, go Matt.
Yeah.
He seals the deal, becomes a kind of a obscure champion in this format because, yeah, you're right. He didn't win a title, or he didn't win a race, won the title. Reddick, California driver, good for him. I don't know his background. Not an open wheel guy, but he is a California guy. So of course, my heart, soul is in California, and cool to see Reddick. Now, obviously, I will be full disclaimer. Totally going for Cole Custer, and I was watching that race on NASCAR Scoring, seeing Cole closing in, who got within a second, but that was on the final lap, so ran out of time. And then obviously didn't really care who won the title in the Cup Series. And to go with consistency, me personally, at that point of the season, I was rooting for Harvick, and he was totally the odd man out. Team gave it a hell of a try, being up against 3 other teammates, but Harvick fell short, and that is my wrap on the Final Four, and my quote, whatever champions. Now, what was your take?
Well, we'll go one by one for each race. We'll start with the trucks. I actually didn't realize, Tommy, until the end, until I saw the internet voice their opinion that Matt Crafton didn't actually win a race this year. I just assumed he had won at least one, and I had no idea that he never won one. But this is not the first time that in racing, any kind of racing, that a person has won a title without winning a championship. If you follow motorcycle road racing, Granada Hills product Ben Bostrom won the 98 AMA Superbike title without winning a race. Andrew Pitt won a World Supersport title in 2001 without winning a race. These things happen when you have a point system. And those point systems were not, chase or playoff point systems, Tommy. Yeah. Those are actually year-round point systems, and they just kept getting second, while everybody else kept getting first, 10th, first, 10th. And so those things happen. I mean, you know, we've seen we've seen this happen before. It's not a new thing. It doesn't happen often, but you know, this is the way. I mean, Ryan Newman almost did this a couple years ago in Cup. I mean, you know, this is the first time it's happened with this point system. But honestly, you know, I don't really have a problem with it. That's just the way it is, I guess. And
consistency is everything. I mean, I think you related it very well to Ryan Newman, how he finished second in the points, knocking Kyle Larson out of the way to do so. But if he didn't do that, he wasn't in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then to come home second because he finishes second, strange things could have happened where, you know, at the time he was not a championship contender. He would have told you yes, but he could have won that race and won the title.
Yeah.
And that would have been his one race win of the season.
Technically, the guy whose title sparked the outcry that caused where we are today, which is Matt Kenseth's 2003 run.
All his fault.
He only won one race. I mean, he could have easily not won that one race and still easily clinched it at Rockingham. So it's not really, you know, we've seen titles won and lost all different ways, and this was just another case. And people don't like the whole Final Four system, but it was funny because I saw a video last week of a Throwback Thursday video. Actually, it was of Kenseth clinching it at Rockingham.
Yeah.
And all the comments were people saying, thank God there's a point system like we have now that ensures a champion gets crowned at the last race and not from just starting the race.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's funny because it's like, man, where are you people to argue against all the other people on Twitter that are just vehemently against the current system? It's just funny how just no matter what you do, you can't please everyone.
It's so funny how you got, you know, back in that era, right? We always joke about 90s NASCAR, but here we go.
Yeah.
Truth talk. 90s NASCAR. What single championship year was the, quote, greatest and most talked about?
92.
Atlanta 92. Now we've got that every single year.
Yeah.
And nobody remembers Atlanta 93, Atlanta 94, Atlanta 97, you know, where these drivers walk into Atlanta who just have to crank the car, basically.
And it's funny because, you know, everybody always likes to point to like, oh, well, it happened this one time.
Yeah.
So that means it always happens. Like, no, like that's like saying, oh, well, somebody won the lottery. That means I'll win it too. Like, no, like it happens. Yeah, it happens once or it happens sometimes, but it didn't happen all the time.
Where's that meme? Okay, boomer.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to be hearing a lot of that.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, I have no problem with Crafton winning. I was personally pulling for Friesen just because I'm not really a dirt guy, but I happen to watch a lot of dirt. I mean, part of our job is to watch a lot of racing at MAV, and I get to watch a lot of stuff on Speed Sport. So shout out to Speed Sport and Ralph Shaheen and Andy Parsons. But I watch a lot of Speed Sport, and Friesen's big block modified that he runs in is in a lot of those shows. So I get to see a lot of Stuart Friesen. So when he started running trucks, I was like, oh, well, I know who he is. I'm gonna pull for him. Plus, he drives a Chevy, so it's
for you.
Good
That's
for me.
perfect.
Yeah.
For me,
and he runs 52, which is my number.
That's right. So that's just perfect. Now, I do enjoy Stuart. I love his story, how they took a chance and went away from dirt legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You could say easily he's done so much in big block modifieds. There'll be a Hall of Fame with his name in it eventually.
Yeah.
But
he had to take a shot though.
He had to take a shot at NASCAR, and they were a low budget, underfunded team that thankfully for them proved their worth. And then this is where it ties into my West Coast love. They team up with GMS, Gallagher Motorsports, who is a team technically from Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And Spencer Gallagher and all that whole family race at the Las Vegas Bull Ring and throughout the West Coast. So I definitely, going into the Final Four, thought that again, Matt Crafton was probably not going to be the fan favorite if he ends up taking the title, compared to Ross Chastain or Stuart Friesen. But consistency got it, and just a dominant run on Friday.
So as we move along to Saturday, really no surprise that no disrespect to Allgaier, but he wasn't really a factor all day. It was really about the big three. They'd been the three dominant drivers all year. They're the three moving up to Cup next year to make probably the best Rookie of the Year class we've had in the last over a decade.
Without a doubt, yeah.
So in the end, it just kind of came down to who could run that high line. And I was kind of a little surprised that Bell wasn't able to run that line as well as Reddick and Custer. But, I mean, in the end, it just kind of came down to who could run the line, and Reddick was able to do it easily.
And that's how he got the title last year. I mean, really, that setup was key. Impressive thing about Reddick is that he has won back-to-back in different teams.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, it was Junior Motorsports.
Mm-hmm.
This year, it was RCR. And
he won more races this year in what people thought was the worst car.
This year made the championship, really stand out, right? Like the year before,
it was kind of a fluke, and this one,
you could call it a fluke, but this year he proved that, he's ready for Cup.
You know why he ran better this year, Tommy? It's because this year he's running Lucas Oil.
You're right. See, he had that Lucas Oil under the hood, RCR baby. And for people that don't know our background, we obviously are at Lucas Oil Monday through Friday, and we do get to see some RCR pictures on the wall.
Yes. So I was
proud supporter of Richard Childress.
Yeah, we missed the title in NHRA on Sunday, but we got a title on Saturday, so kind of evens out. So it was still a good weekend for the company.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're gonna have to figure out a way to swindle our way into Phoenix next year.
Oh, I think we're definitely gonna be there as long as we keep sponsoring that truck race.
I
mean,
like
if any,
style.
we'll just have to do like a homeboy that went to Australia and just sneak in the trunk. We'll just have to just sneak into Greg Hazo's truck when he pulls the trailer there.
That sounds like a great alternate podcast idea.
Yeah, I believe so. And we have a whole off season to tell crazy stories.
Nice little tease. I like that.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people are not excited about championship weekend moving to Phoenix. We're ecstatic. Tommy and Jeffrey have both been there. Actually, they worked there.
We did.
Once or twice?
Yeah, we were Victory Lane. No, we did work there once.
Okay.
And we worked in the infield media center. That's a whole
other podcast.
Podcast.
Yeah, that's gonna be a great podcast. We have to have Jeffrey for that one.
Yeah.
But we're excited about that. Not only because our company sponsors it, maybe, hopefully, but we could actually go to that one, and I won't have to fly there to do it. We can just drive
a road trip.
Yeah. So moving on to Cup, and I felt like this is sort of the first Final Four in the Cup series where it felt more like survival than it did who was the fastest. Because if we went just based on speed, the 19 should have lapped everybody.
It was pretty incredible how many mistakes and issues there were actually in that championship race. And, again, you and I don't know. We're not in the pits. We're not grinding it out 36 races a year. But from my seat on my couch in the living room, it looked like the pressure got to some of those teams.
I mean, I know mistakes happen, but I don't think I've ever really seen the type of mistake that I saw from the 19 car.
Yeah, and equally the 11. I mean, talk about making desperate moves at desperate times.
Which is odd, too, because the cars seem to be coming back. The track conditions seem to be coming back to that 11 car.
Mm-hmm.
They were showing more speed at that point of the race than they had all day.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I know you're going for the jugular, but it almost seemed like they tried something they never tried before. And I don't know if that's really the time to try something like that.
But, again, like you said, they were kind of behind all race. And why not?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to – if you don't win the championship, you're going to lose. There's no second, third, and fourth.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, don't matter. Yeah. You're going to be on the Waldorf Astoria.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So.
Are you surprised? Well, actually, it's going to be Nashville this year.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm joking. I'm sorry. I went back to 90s NASCAR.
Yeah, because the 90s were the best,
Yeah.
But are you surprised that the 4 wasn't as much of a factor as we thought they would be?
I was thinking that Sunday that SHR was going to take 2 championships.
Mm-hmm.
They were already coming down from a celebration on Saturday, is what I thought. And then Harvick was going to say, well, watch this. And lead every lap and come off pit road first every time. Because we've seen how good Stewart-Haas has been on mile and halves, plus how good they've been at Homestead. And they just under-delivered, I thought.
Are you surprised that after after Martinsville when Almirola had his now hollow threat of making it hell for the 18, like we never saw anything.
Yeah.
Now we know. Don't believe the 10 ever.
No, I can't believe that threat.
Yeah.
It's probably for the best of his career that he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But I kind of figured there'd be something.
Yeah. Well,
maybe
same thing happened last year, the 78
right.
and 22. So.
Right. Yeah. That's just us being spectators, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. If you're not going to do anything, don't say you're going to do something. You know.
Yeah.
It's very
trying to get in the minds. Now, I mean, like I've always thought, man, if I was ever in the position, and I'd be the worst driver ever in racing, but wouldn't it be fun, like if you know you're going to go to Homestead and you're not going to retaliate on track, like why wouldn't you just be a pest in practice and stuff like that? Now, obviously, they kind of had a rain-shortened weekend for the Cup Series.
Yeah, the whole weekend was sort of weird because they didn't even run on Friday, and then one practice, I think, on Saturday. So, are you surprised that for all 3 races at Homestead, we did not have that late yellow? We did not have that last restart. It was just, I mean, that's kind of one reason why the end of each race was sort of like, you already kind of knew it was going to happen even with 20 to go because nobody was really close. It was just whoever was leading, they were going to win.
And Harvick mentioned how he had a car for the short runs, and that kind of bites you because you got to set up for everything. But it wasn't a bad idea because what happens if that caution comes out with 10 to go and it shrinks down to 5 to go at the restart? It's time to jam gears and go for the win. So
yeah, I know a lot of people don't like the 18. Most people know that I am a fan of the 42. Who will be discussed later in this podcast. And obviously the Larson luck hit again, had a chance for at least the top 5 at the least. And of course the engine blew up. So I guess I'm glad that he did not make Final 4 because I would have paid the money to have gone there to watch him just blow up.
Wow.
So that's not fun. But I'm okay with the 18 winning. I know a lot of people don't like him, but the fact of the matter is he probably should have won another title before now. I mean, I still remember his first year at JGR. The first 26 races, man, he won 8, I think, in the first 26, just destroyed everybody, fell apart in the playoffs. But, I mean, if we went to the old system, which everybody wants to go to, he probably would have won that one, most likely. So I'm okay with it. It's not like he pulled a Matt Crafton. He won 5 races. He was the regular season points champion.
He won the foot race through traffic in New York
City.
Yeah,
that was the key, Tommy.
That was it.
That was the good mojo. Everybody else should have done the same thing, but they were too lazy.
Well, you're going to get stuck in traffic then. You're going to get stuck behind the 18. No, Kyle Busch is a deserving champion. I've got my stories on Kyle Busch, fun, interesting ones that, there's some people who don't know that Kyle Busch was once kicked out of a racetrack. Not because he did something bad on track, because he was a little underage.
Yeah. Well,
and I was there.
He wasn't, and then he was.
Right. So, and I was there.
Yeah.
I watched that whole thing transpire. I've seen Kyle Busch race at Irwindale in the ASA series, which people are probably being surprised to know this right now.
That
the ASA actually went farther than the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
West.
Yeah.
And
it was a day race, too, right?
It was day and night race. So they had a couple of them. But the one Kyle was in was a day race. Always good to see Kyle, again, a West Coast driver.
Vegas boy. Yeah.
Vegas boy. Do well. And I give that a testament to the whole 18 JGR team. Just lights out were the whole entire team. 3 in the Final 4.
Yeah.
Very close to making it a 1-2-3 in the championship. And 18, Kyle Busch just showed up when it mattered the most.
So that's a wrap for Homestead, and we're coming up on Thanksgiving, and all of a sudden Jimmie Jonhson drops the bombshell. Maybe it wasn't a bombshell to some because I'm sure a lot of people thought it was going to be happening sooner than later, but making it official, going to call it a NASCAR career after 2020. Thoughts on that, Tommy?
Jimmie Jonhson is obviously, for the 2000 era, the most famed, decorated, all the accolades,
accomplished,
whatever wording you want to put, his legacy, his everything. That guy, he is that guy in the 2000 era NASCAR, and
actually any era, because I mean to win 5 titles in a row, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even when we were watching it, it seems so unbelievable now, but it was equally shocking at the time. I mean, it just got to a point where it's just give him the trophy.
Oh yeah, I mean there'd be tracks that you would just know. Okay, well here's a Jimmie Jonhson show. Who's finishing second? Again, cool that you and I followed him from the West Coast per se. Now I know you're gonna bring up some stuff about Jimmie.
I might save it for like when he retires for real next year. But yeah, I mean, let's just say that, you know, especially if you grew up on the West Coast or California and are familiar with off-road racing like myself, you knew who Jimmie Jonhson was well before he ever got into an ASA car.
And for me, I didn't follow the off-road world, but I remember the whole ASA time, and I didn't know Jimmie. I remember the Busch Series, or now Xfinity, and I kind of remember Jimmie until he crashed at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, that put him on the map.
Once he crashed at Watkins Glen and jumped out of his car like he just won a monster truck freestyle, that is when I was like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
Go Jimmie. And, shortly after, he's in the Cup Series, and arguably so, people are like,
who is this guy?
Why would Rick Hendrick put this guy?
He only won one Busch race.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the rest, as they say, is history. We can go on and talk about how Jimmie Jonhson is one of the last drivers of an era where people have grown up, right? So what I'm saying is he's like the whole Tony Stewart era. Jeff Gordon retiring, that was 90s NASCAR era.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon was 90s.
So you've got this era where, Harvick and Kurt Busch are really
and Newman
are
they're the only 3 left.
That era of the long-standing drivers.
2000 to 2009, like that first decade of the millennium.
Yeah,
they're the only ones left, and everybody kind of like me and you. We always loved 90s NASCAR, but you could argue that really the era after that, which was like, I don't know, I guess AD after Dale.
Yeah.
Like 01 to maybe 07, 08, because of the TV deal. That was really the biggest time because you had the TV deal and you had the attendance. In the 90s, you had the attendance. Well, you had the full attendance, but it wouldn't have as many seats.
Of course.
But you didn't have a big giant network deal. You still had like races spread across 4 or 5 different channels, and people complain today they don't know what channel the race is on, but you would have really hated it in the 90s.
I think in this era, you can argue that, or this era meaning for Jimmie, his era through NASCAR probably saw the most change. Obviously, we can't look into the future, but we can look into the past. Had the most change of cars, their style, points, how they are awarded.
Yes.
And, I mean, you can say the racetracks changed. The same racetracks that he started racing in till now have done a 180, some of them. I mean, looking back at 2003, did anybody, including Jimmie, think that Charlotte would have a Roval and they'd put track bite in the corners and that they would have Bristol with multiple degrees of bankering? And I mean, look at all the things going backwards. If you rewind Jimmie's career from this day backwards, he's had to drive through it all.
Yeah. And the way that the cars are different too. I mean, to retouch a story that I told you earlier today, I've heard people telling me that they really feel like one reason he's struggling as much as he is because the cars are they're underpowered, and it's more of just sort of a hold it to the floor as opposed to throttle control
Right.
and managing your tires. And it kind of made sense to me because in the Busch series, granted, he was on a small one-car team versus Ryan Newman's Penske team. But the thing is, at the time, most teams were small
Yeah.
one-car teams anyway. So, but he only won one Busch race. If you just looked at his Busch stats, there was nothing there that would indicate to you that he was going to become a 7-time champion.
Right. Yeah.
A competent driver, sure. Even as a guy that followed Jimmie early on, my hopes were modest. I just wanted to see him make it. And
Right.
then to see him do what he did was almost dreamlike.
It was pretty surreal. I mean, to think that we have now 3 7-time NASCAR champions.
Mm-hmm. And we got to witness all of them.
And we got to witness, yeah. So that was pretty impressive. And I can't wait to see what next year brings. You and I joked earlier once we found out how it was like that whole SpongeBob meme, like 2021 car coming.
I'm a head
out.
Yeah.
You know, like Jimmy's like, nah, I'm not interested in,
going slower.
Yeah, or
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited. I'm thinking if you're Rick Hendrick, which okay, so
there's two ways to look at it.
There's two ways to look at it, right? Rick Hendrick will, and everybody will say, all of our cars are the same, which some people believe that, some people don't. I'm not going to say.
I don't think Ken Schrader believes that.
Right. Yeah. So, but what I will say is this: I really feel bad, in my opinion, for the other Hendrick drivers, crew chiefs, teams, because nobody's gonna care.
No, it's gonna be
sorry Napa, sorry Nationwide,
sorry Mountain Dew.
Yeah, like the spotlight every week will be on Jimmie Jonhson, and
Ally's gonna get their money's worth.
Yeah. And they have a longer sponsor deal
than everybody else.
Than Jimmie Jonhson has left in his NASCAR career.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking that it's gonna be the 48 might as well just get his own shop on on that Concord property.
He might need his own shop to fit all the gifts he's gonna get from every track. If I still remember when DW had his farewell tour.
Right.
And Jimmie, he's like the opposite of the 18. Like, people might say he's boring, but nobody dislikes him.
I've seen a lot of very respectful comments on the announcement, like on social media and whatnot, how...
and rightly so.
Rightly so. And I feel like that is the, sad but true, him not performing well. And people are like, holy crap, the guy that I rooted against every week, he kind of won a race.
But the thing is, like, so every time I hear people say he's on a 2-year winless streak, I'm thinking, like, as a person who grew up a very dedicated Dale Earnhardt fan.
Oh, yeah.
Like, did you guys forget the years, after his injury at Talladega in 96 through 1998 where he only won one race, which was the biggest one. But, like, besides Daytona 98, that was a very long 2.5 years if you were a number 3 fan.
Right.
And it's like, I don't recall people at the time saying he needs to retire. And arguably at the time, that was at an era where the competition wasn't even as hard as it is today.
Yeah.
So I found it kind of weird how, like, we all know Hendrick is not at the level they used to be. And I know Chase is winning races. I know Bowman got a win. But, like, I up to his level, yeah, it's not good. But I was a little bit surprised. Like, man, like, what would social media
what would Twitter say in
1992 when Richard Petty hadn't won a race since 1984?
Literally living off of provisionals.
Yeah. Or Darrell Waltrip doing the same thing. I mean, we were at Fontana in 97 when they opened at the IROC race when everybody's in equal cars and you had 11 cars going through and then one car getting lapped.
And everybody was on their feet cheering.
Yeah, stomping that grandstand. Every time DW came by 20 seconds behind. Like, what would you guys have been saying at that time? I mean, like, so I don't know. It's just because we grew up seeing that, it's a little bit weird seeing this now.
And so, the social media comments, for the most part, have been really supportive for Jimmie. And I think next year, is going to be quite the farewell party for Jimmie. And yeah, I do wonder what that. I mean, I sitting right here right now, I'm hoping he's the guy next year that gets 8. I think it would be incredible to see 8 championships out of one driver, and I would love to see it. And I'd love to see it on, and I think that's no pressure, Jimmie, or anything, but I think that's what everybody's hoping for too.
Should NASCAR move the last race to Dover then?
Dover or Charlotte? Yeah.
Not the Roval.
Not the Roval.
No, actually, no. He almost won the Roval.
He
though,
almost
so.
won, but that's the issue. Is
Yeah.
almost has a capital A on it.
Yeah. So it's gonna be bittersweet. I'm sure we'll talk about it many times.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because our first test podcast was about the 2020 silly season, but now that opens up a ride for 2021. Who do you think is gonna get that 48 ride?
Well, I've already seen pictures that it's going to be Natalie Decker. So I don't know what the
Case
question
closed.
Is. Well, I don't know what the question is.
Well, you did say a few weeks ago that if he wanted to, it could have been John West Townley.
Yes, it could have easily been John West. That would have been the number 48 Ally
Zaxby's
car. The way that chicken is. Holy cow. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, plenty of options. And still to be decided throughout next year, unless there is somebody out there that is handpicked by somebody.
Well, I bet right now Noah Gragson's like, I hope to God I win the Xfinity title.
Yeah, Noah now, and that's kind of my hope, right?
Yeah.
That's just because I
am
a Noah fan.
Although I don't know, does Hendrick want yet another rookie? I mean, I know you got Chase there, but with Byron last year and Bowman, that was a big growing period.
An option, really. I mean, other than Justin Allgaier.
Well, no, he's not doing that. Well, I meant he might have to go outside the Hendrick.
Oh, yeah, go do some purging.
Well,
like Jeff Gordon and Ford.
Yeah. Well, so I know, and not that internet comments mean anything, but I know a lot of people were kind of speculating my favorite driver, and I was kind of conflicted if Larson ever went to any other team besides Ganassi, because I like the story how he chose, he wants to stay with them because Chip gave him a chance.
Man, you're conflicted, and I just can't believe. I couldn't believe seeing Larson going to a team that has shown a shorter leash for drivers to do any extracurricular.
Yeah.
Racing.
And that might be, in the end, the one thing that Ganassi has over,
right,
besides a potential Indy 500 ride in the future, maybe.
Does Kurt Busch go to the 48?
Oh,
I don't know. There's so many things. I mean, you're right, though. What happens if there's a bunch of rookies? Well, I guess, obviously Chase will have experience. Bowman, by then, will have plenty of experience.
Mm-hmm. Actually, by then, it might be a make or break year for Bowman.
Yeah.
Depending on how next year goes. I mean, he made the playoffs this year. Actually got to second round? Yeah, he did. Yeah, because,
and then
the Roval.
Then the Roval didn't help.
Yeah, but he made it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, so, I mean, yeah, right now when we talked, but before we talked on this podcast, I was like, come on, Noah. Here's your time to shine, buddy. But I don't know. He probably thinks that's just the most ridiculous rumor ever. But hey, I'll take it. As a fan, I'll take it. Sure, why in the hell not?
Yeah. So it's gonna be. I mean, silly season this year was already interesting, and we didn't even get to 2020 yet. And because the thing is, there's a lot of possibilities. I mean, Ross Chastain, Gragson, Daniel Hemrick's gonna want to try to get back into Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Reddick might say, "Hey, thanks for the
leapfrog.
Yeah, thanks for the rookie year RCR. It's time to go to a car that's actually matching my potential." Matty D's on a 1-year deal, right?
That's true.
So there's gonna be silly season 2021. It's gonna be really, really interesting.
Could be Carl Edwards.
Yeah, is Carl gonna come out of retirement? I mean,
could be Greg Biffle.
Well, I mean, Biffle showed off the couch he could win.
Oh man.
And actually, the other thing too is Does it stay the 48? Does it go back to the 5?
Yeah, I mean, you would kind of wonder what you do if you're Rick Hendrick. Now, obviously, he kept the 24, so I'm guessing he's going to keep the 48. But
we don't know. Because the 5 and the 25 are iconic numbers.
And then whose decision is it? Because we know that Jeff Gordon owns
48.
The 48 team.
I guess it would be sort of Jeff's.
So who's he going to pick? He's probably going to pick some dirt racer. Stuart Friesen.
For Friesen. Well, I read today he's rumored to go to Xfinity next year. I don't know with who, but
I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Could it be, a USAC somebody right now that we just aren't even thinking of?
Well, I do know that World of Outlaws star David Gravel is going to trucks next year. I don't know if it's a full-time deal or a part-time deal. He had a great year in World of Outlaws this year, and I know he's perfectly happy with running World of Outlaws, but, it's like the whole take your shot, right? I mean, you might hit. It didn't work out for Rico Abreu, but it might work out for David Gravel.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting as we come to a close. This probably will be the last podcast before Thanksgiving. So what do you got planned, Tommy?
So I was watching the Cup finale while having Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' house.
Well, that was like an early Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So that's Thanksgiving number 1. Thanksgiving weekend, Jeffrey and I will be up at Tucson Raceway or Speedway. Raceway is what they used to call it. Now it's changed to Tucson Speedway for the turkey shoot, where they blow up a turkey balloon before their big 125-lap Super Late Model race. So that'll be fun. Live on lowbudget.tv, by the way. And that's my plans for Thanksgiving. What about you?
I think I am going to make it out for the first time on actual Turkey Night. The Turkey Night Grand Prix in Ventura.
Second oldest race in America.
Yeah.
Second to the Indy
500.
500.
Yeah. So, Southern California tradition, and hopefully my guy Kyle Larson could take the win, sporting his brand new Lucas Oil midget car. Lucas Oil and iRacing. So
that's right. Mm-hmm.
What can I say? Kyle Larson, Lucas Oil, iRacing should be a winning combination if I ever saw one. So that's my plan for Turkey Night or Thanksgiving. I know you kind of touched on it in your Bakersfield broadcast, but what's your ultimate Thanksgiving dish or a plate for you?
So you can't go ever wrong with the sides. Let me explain how I set my plate up just this past weekend. Is you put everything that's available, unless it's green beans, because green beans are gross. And you put it all on the plate. I guess the yam or the cranberry stuff, right?
I'm not the biggest cranberry fan.
Right.
So.
Neither am I. So let's say we just Let me just draw it out for you, and you guys can just pretend. Imagine it. I have a plate. Put my turkey. I put my potatoes, my stuffing, and I will get at least 3 scoops of gravy. Just pour it all over the top. Flood that plate, and I'm set. That's Thanksgiving right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I mean, like I said, I don't really like the whole cranberry sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me turkey with gravy, some mashed potatoes, stuffing, and mac and cheese if you got it.
Yeah, I mean, some do. Shayla's, my wife's family, when I go there, they have a double baked mac cheese something.
Oh,
you can't put gravy on that.
Well, if it gets on there, so be it.
Right, I mean, it's all the same.
Yeah.
But, no, they do it up not to say my parents don't do it up, they do it up.
Well, that sounds fantastic. Dessert?
There was 2 options, and I picked pumpkin pie. The other option was apple pie. I feel like pumpkin pie is what should be the pick.
That's tradition.
That's tradition.
If you go by that.
Right. So I do enjoy both, but I did the tradition route. And I also did that because I knew how quickly the apple pie was going, and I kind of wanted pumpkin pie because I hadn't had pumpkin pie in a while. So I just let someone have my slice, basically.
Not the biggest pumpkin pie fan, but I recently
With a lot of whipped cream, by the way.
Yeah, well, you gotta have, you can't really, or either that or ice cream. But recently, I've discovered pumpkin pie cheesecake.
Oh, I have not tried that.
I believe Costco has it, and I'm not a big pumpkin pie fan, but I like pumpkin pie cheesecake, so I'll take that any day. If not, then if I have to have the regular pumpkin pie, give me a lot of Cool Whip or ice cream, and I could deal with it.
Gotcha.
So
there you go.
Well, folks, thanks.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. Well, folks, thanks for sticking around. I don't know when you're going to listen to this, but if it's any time near Thanksgiving, have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back after the break, and hopefully our first official guest or interview guest will be back in the country by then, and we can record that finally and stop having test podcasts.
Good testing, though.
Yeah.
We're like...
we still need a test with Jeffrey, though. We haven't even done that yet.
Yeah. We'll get to there.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
This is just like, again, 90s NASCAR pre-Daytona.
Yeah, this is Speed Weeks.
Testing.
Yeah. Oh, not even Speed Weeks. This is just January.
Testing.
We got the primer in the cars.
Right.
3 of each car.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all sandbagging.
That's right. That's right. On the brakes.
So, for Tommy Mason, I'm Charlie Sungtai, and you've been listening to the Racing Foolz podcast, powered by Low Budget TV. Yeah. The Racing Foolz podcast is produced by TQ Media House in association with Low Budget TV. Special thanks goes out to Tommy and Jeffrey from Low Budget TV, Kelly McGuire for the free mic and mixer, and Ramon Ariola for helping create various show elements. Music is provided by RFM, royalty-free music in the YouTube audio library. If you like what you hear, give Low Budget TV a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what you think. We welcome all questions, comments, and ideas, and who knows, maybe your idea will be the next topic on the Racing Foolz podcast.